I know how absurd it sounds. What possibly could Nightreign, an acid flop cash grab, and the Duskbloods, a bloodborne battle royale on the $500 paywall, do better than Elden Ring? That one Elden Ring that won Game of the Year, and that one Elden Ring DLC which was nominated for another Game of the Year. Well, look at this.
Man, there's just no openings here.
What do you see? I see a dead end, a ceiling. FromSoft is famous for challenging boss fights. It's a core pillar of a whole genre of Soulslikes that they've established. I know for some people it's enough to have any sort of stamina management system to label a game as a Soulslike. Even though they are not wrong, I believe having challenging but fair boss fights is another mandatory aspect for any Souls-like. Whether the statement Dark Souls equals hard or Elden Ring equals hard is true or not, that is up for a whole another discussion. But the fact remains, in mass perception, Souls games are a synonym for difficult games. But apart from just being hard, FromSoft bosses are often described as fair, and if bosses were hard and unfair, that would just be badly designed bosses. This is what the studio and Hidetaka Miyazaki embraced in every Souls game they made. No matter how hard the boss is, with enough dedication to the combat system and to the fight itself, or to your build preparation, you can beat it alone. And I want to draw your attention to the last part. No matter how hard the boss is, you can beat it alone. And that is the problem. You see, since Demon's Souls, every new game has had to improve on the formula, find a way to make new bosses harder. First of all, because players got hooked on this new drug they call a sense of fulfillment, and started humiliating bosses with nothing but broken swords and bare asses. And remind you, making hard and challenging games has become FromSoft's calling card. And second of all, you can't just show the same thing again. You need to innovate your boss fights. But how long can you keep making your bosses harder and more challenging until you lose the fair part in your design philosophy? Cause look, this is what FromSoft has already done to make their bosses harder. You can speed up the pace, you can fight multiple enemies at once, you can add phase 2, you can add phase 3, you can add deadly combo where one mistake ruins it all. And I want you to look at what was considered a hard boss in Dark Souls. And this is what a hard boss looks like now.
Oh, it's still going. That's a lot going on there. I can't make heads or tails of.
And that's the ceiling I'm talking about. They are expected to top their previous hardest boss in every new game, every DLC even, but they can't make a boss harder without leaving the fair part out of the equation anymore. And to remind you, fair means you can beat the boss by yourself with no summons, because boss fights are designed for 1v1 scenarios and additionally have an opportunity to summon a phantom for help. And that's why I like what they're doing with Nightreign. If you hit the ceiling, grow outwards. 3v1 is the new fair. They explicitly state, hey, we designed these bosses to be fought in a team. It is okay to not be able to beat it alone because you are not supposed to. Not only can they design a boss keeping in mind that it's 3 people fighting it and not being worried about people bitching that the boss is too hard for them to kill them by themselves, but they can approach difficulty from another angle, cooperation among teammates. And I'd say that's the hardest part. It will definitely add another layer of complexity as coordination of the party will become essential. Not to mention that from a mentality standpoint, knowing that the boss requires 3 people to be killed makes it feel harder, even if it's just a placebo, cause what do you mean it's hard when it's 3 of us? What would this fight be if I was alone? If previously summoning a phantom was an optional way of defeating the boss, now beating it alone is optional, and it might sound insignificant, as at the end of the day it won't change the landscape drastically, but a naked fuck with a stick will defeat the boss solo anyway, while an average player will kill it in co-op with friends or randos and won't think of it at all. Both hardcore and more casual players will have more fun as everybody will get what they want, although it can lead to a bigger gap between hardcore players and more casual fans. But the only group I see suffer from that change is gatekeepers who shout that you haven't beaten a Souls game if you didn't beat it solo, cause now ironically they won't be able to do that themselves and will be forced to beat it with others and learn the way of jolly cooperation, which is a win if you ask me. We don't care about gatekeepers' feelings. And if you struggle to understand how that may change the perception of difficulty in future FromSoft games, I have an example of the Redan Festival. I really like the Redan Festival and the whole vibe around it, and I wish they didn't nerf the boss, because summoning NPCs for a fight added so much weight to my perception of how strong Redan was, and I want to see them do more of that. And of course there's always a chance that they might not pull it off and 3v1s will just feel like a walk in the park, but only time will tell. To me, with the popularity of seamless co-op and randomizer mods, Nightreign seems like a safe way to test new approaches and build new mechanics to enhance co-op experience, which is a net positive for the next big FromSoft game, but I get how Nightreign could disappoint some people. I haven't played it yet, so I don't really know how it's going to feel playing this game. Is it going to be any good? But I'm willing to try, and personally I am really excited for the Recluse. This magic system seems like a lot of fun, and this kind of mechanics is what gives me trust in FromSoft's approach of reusing a lot of facets here and there, because they have more time and resources to cook something special. But what about the Duskbloods? What is so special about the Duskbloods? What is the point in a PvPvE Nintendo Switch exclusive if they already have Nightreign? Well, historically FromSoft has never prioritized PvP in their games, which is fair, I guess. I get it, as all of them are single player games first and all of that stuff. PvP was always an addition. But I and many more people in the community love PvP in Souls games. I think it's the single best and unique thing they could have come up with. I even beat the game leveling up using the runes that I got from PvP only. That's how much I love PvP. You should go and check the video after that one. So having a game that lets them put more work into PvP makes me simply happy. A lot of PvP folks were actually excited about the Duskbloods more than about the Nightreign until they saw it's a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive though, as we finally might get an improved and well thought PvP system, and that is all we ask here in this corner of the community. Nintendo throwing a bunch of that exclusivity money for FromSoft to play around with PvP mechanics? Sure, so be it, get the bag, let them cook, and I'm sure we'll see the results of it in their next major title. Personally, even if the Duskblood sounds fun to me, I'll probably skip it, as I'm not ready to buy Switch 2 and then a game for $80 and pay monthly subscription for online access. Well, unless you like this video and subscribe so that I can afford it, and then yeah, I'll do it for you, sure. But I am sure they'll make a good use of the Nintendo money anyway. And since I've thrown here and there phrases like their next major title, FromSoft next big thing, I thought it would be interesting to speculate what their next game is going to be, considering FromSoft's problem in scaling bosses' difficulty, them testing waters with quote-unquote unfair but fair 3v1 fights, and studios' interest in more multiplayer features. I would imagine they're working on a multiplayer-focused MMO type of game. It actually would have been interesting to see their take on, I don't know, MMO Covenant boss raids or some community boss fights like Dragon from Dragon's Dogma, and that's coming from me, not a big fan of MMOs. But writing this script, I remembered when I just got into Dark Souls, I thought it was almost a perfect multiplayer game. It checked every box for me. You have an amazing and completed single player progression that is not just go and kill 15 goblins and then go and kill another 20 of those. You have a bunch of customization options that let you create a unique character and build, and what's more important, you can flex with that build and your fashion either in co-op or PvP, and it seems like they're just improving the formula right now. But Miyazaki already confirmed that they are not abandoning single player games, so I'll tone it down and say it could be something like Monster Hunter. It's still primarily a single player game, but also a multiplayer game that will have co-op and PvP, but different from how it works in Elden Ring and previous Souls games. So it could also be some kind of a live service game with constant updates, even though you pay for it once, so don't worry here, calm down. And they have the Nintendo bag not to worry about keeping servers up and not adding monthly subscription, or I could be completely wrong. But anyway, I have full trust in FromSoftware and whatever project they're secretly working on right now. And what about you? What do you think? Share your predictions in the comment and we'll see who was right in a few years. Thanks for watching. See ya!